Good morning. Today is Sunday, July 6th, 2025. This is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast, looking at where Bitcoin went in the last week and where it could potentially go in the future. So we are at the beginning of July. June was kind of it was an all right month. It ended up being positive. June ended up being up 2.4% overall. Right now we're up like 1.7% on July. And we look at some of the other months like May was up 11.11%, 11.11. April was up 14%, and then you had these big drops in February and March. So February was down 17%, March was down 2.9%, but we've really turned it around. I think the majority of this drop was cleaning up this imbalance, this huge imbalance from November. So things shot off. They came back, and then the fair value price was probably somewhere around 75,000 at this point, and then just continuing on to the upside. So I think we will continue to see that movement up to the upside because there's really nothing left holding this price down. It's not really holding any of the price down at this point. So really what you'll end up seeing is we saw this drop here at the end of last year. The drop here, and now I just think we're primed to just continue on to the upside significantly. The weekly chart, we see a lot of the same. So there was really, we hit this $100,000 level, and that was huge. But then we just stayed here for weeks and weeks and weeks and for months really. And then we just saw this huge drop down. So, 1 week in February, you saw a huge drop down to this level. You finally followed through with it in March. And then, it came back up to the upside. So there's a couple different areas in here. You have ranges and then, some downward areas. But overall, what I'm seeing is we're breaking out consistently and we're building structure. That's more important too. Because you can continue to have these huge run-ups, but if you don't have any type of structure that forms or any type of return structure, then suddenly these moves are not as exciting. So I think now that institutions are big players in this game and it's no longer just retail, I think that we will start to see the Bitcoin will start moving more like an index and more like the other institutional instruments that they use. And it's not like 2017, this was all retail. And this was majority retail. And again, Bitcoin was in the tens to hundreds of billions of dollar range at this point. And then, hundreds of $1 billion, maybe $1 trillion by the time it was all said and done. But now we're in multi-trillion-dollar territory just on Bitcoin alone. And I think the total market cap for crypto is, what is it? I can tell you right now. The total market cap for crypto is, I did not want to do that, is 3 trillion. It's 3 trillion right now versus what it was in the past. So it's we're in the trillions of dollar range. Retail does not have nearly as much power as they used to. This is really an institutional game. It's an institutional game at this point, one that retail can profit from. But seeing the 16x or 20x gains in a year or a couple months off of Bitcoin, it's probably not going to happen as much anymore. Just based on where we're at financially, it's good to get in early, but this is absolutely something that you can still profit from. So let's take a look here at some of the different areas. So I marked off some of the prices. The long-term holder realized price is appreciating. It's going up. I moved it today. Realized price, that is going up. The short-term holder realized price, we see this is at 99,000 at this point. 99,000. And right below this psychological level of 100,000. Now this is a very strong level. It's a very strong level for sure. We're on the weekly chart at this point. We'll see that the daily chart, it has moving averages above here. And really what you have overall is we've been in this channel. So since late 2023, it was ranging, then it shot up. And then it came down one more time, bull flag, it shot up once again. And really what you have is just a series of bull flags at this point. So I think once you start breaking above here, you'll start seeing more and more levity. And really it's in the interest of the people who are holding these big banks and institutions that are holding Bitcoin that the price stays elevated, because they don't want something that drops 50%. If it drops 50%, they're trying to sell their ETFs. They're trying to sell all this other stuff. Most people don't like volatility. They cannot handle it. So it is in everyone's best interest that these banks keep, the price of Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor and GameStop or whoever else, they keep the price of Bitcoin high. There is an incentive now. or at least keep it from doing like these drastic dumps again. So I mean, what was this? Uh, this was a 30-point drop, which historically that's nothing for Bitcoin because like we've seen 60-70% drops. So like I'm not super concerned about that one. What I see is that we're at the top of this escape velocity line. This is really what's been holding it down, in my opinion. But right now, we're at the point where we've been breaking above this for about 8 to 10 weeks. I've closed above it for about 8 to 10 weeks, really. And so what I see is like, again, you have this line. We're all above here all this time. And if I go back, we spent some time above here, before coming back down one more time. And then now what you end up having is two areas. So we're three areas. You have this upward green channel. You have this downward red channel. You have the move to, you have your moving averages here, so that you see they all clustered up here, and this just ended up being a move to the upside. And then you have your range. You have your range that is blue in this area that is, it deviated below it for a while, but this range still held. And now we see that we're kind of breaking above it. So we're breaking above the red lines, the blue lines, and now you see there's nothing above it. There's nothing above this price that could stop it from going to right here. And I think it'll reach 120 in pretty relatively short manner. It's not going to be all the way out here to, what is this, October? No, it's going to be pretty much like this. So actually, if I do this, it's probably something more like, let's say it goes to August or September. So we do this, and then this, something like this. Something of that nature, to whereby, August or September, we're really, kind of in this area. So maybe a little bit more extended in that nature. So it could be something like this. But overall, the direction is up, right? So that is your, let's call that the August or September, whatever you want it to do. But either way, you're going to see this extended area to where it just keeps on going up. 4-hour chart. Oh, we see we're moving. We're already moving. It's this is Sunday. You had a drop on Friday, which was July 4th. So the overall market was closed, but we see now that we've made it back up here. So that gap has been closed. So when the market opens this afternoon, the CME gap will already be filled, likely. And then we'll just keep moving. We'll keep moving. So that's kind of all there is for the chart. At least we see that the moving averages are well above here, 106, 107, 107. Yeah, we're in good territory, y'all. I'm actually very excited at this point. Economic news, nothing this week, really nothing this week. I know we got inflation numbers coming out next week, but overall there's not really much to talk about here. So I won't. There's a couple moves. There's a couple moves that are happening in the financial space that are absolutely radicalizing it. So the big one that we have is on July 14th, and this directly affects crypto, is the release of ISO 222, 20,022. And what that ends up doing is things that are ISO 2022, I can never say it right. It is these things that are compliant with this standard. So ISO is a standard. You have things like Stellar, XDC, Hedera, LXC, Quant, Algorand, Casper, IOTA. All of these are going to be under this standard. So they're going to be stuff that is used by institutions. I think realistically, a lot of crypto projects are going to fall off the map. I mean, I've been tracking some since about a year or two ago, and really they just have not performed. And also, I mean, they may or may not be compliant to the standard. But if we have some type of alt season, I mean, these will do very well. I think they'll do pretty well. Ripple was held underwater for some time. I think that'll be good. I know it's the Bitcoin price forecast, but this is something that is huge for crypto. So I do believe that it is worth talking about. Bitcoin is number one. It's the king, but there are others that will really form the backing of the financial system. The other one that I want to talk about, and this has already gone into place, was on July 1st, we upgraded from Basel 2 to Basel 3. So this is an international standard for banking regulation. And what it does is it allows physical gold to now be recognized as a tier 1 asset. So prior to this, it was a tier 3 asset. And with the tier 3 asset, you had to have, it was viewed as riskier. you needed additional capital requirements to hold gold and market on your books as needed. Now gold and silver highly liquid, highly liquid. You can start using them. Well, banks can start using them to buffer their capital sheets, their balance sheets. So I see this as an opportunity for gold to really get some limelight, get some shine. They're long term gold cycles, and I think I am actually going to make a video about gold and how this really plays out over time, because I think it's going to be one of the biggest assets over the next couple of years. So you could even see a scenario to where we go back to some type of gold backed currency. I don't know how that'll manifest itself, but it is not out of the question at all at this point. It's not out of the question. So, I think there are good times ahead financially for those who are paying attention. I think for everyone who's paying attention, you have the opportunity to capitalize on volatility and to hold assets that are key and that will really have some type of um, infrastructural play on the future at this point of the financial system. So, there are the assets, and then there's like the plumbing that moves the assets too. So we see all these different, assets moving up. And I just think between ISO 20022 and this Basel 3 upgrade, that we're just going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time for those who are paying attention and acting on the information. But yeah, it's exciting. We'll follow that. I think we're going to see some volatility across multiple assets here coming up soon. So other than that, I don't really have too much else. Like this, the overall consensus now is that we're going to start this upward move and advance pretty quickly over the coming, I don't know, 4 to 8 weeks. I think we'll see some great stuff coming out of this area. So other than that, y'all, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out any crypto-based resources on christalkscrypto.com, and I will see y'all on the move. Take care. Bye-bye.